Whoa, hey there. What's up, guys? Dang, the live studio audience is happy today. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show, your beginner-friendly guide to saving in Bitcoin. It is once again one of my favorite days of the week, sTACO Tuesday, because I not only get to stack some more sats, some satoshis that is, but I also get to eat one of my favorite meals, tacos. Surprise, surprise, I had tacos last night for dinner. It's never a bad idea to eat some tacos. Okay, tacos make you happy. All right, so earlier this morning, I got to go on Pleb Underground, guys. It was awesome. I had an interview with Phil. And it was, I wouldn't call it an interview. We're basically just talking about content creation and being in the Bitcoin space and Bitcoin, like my orange pill story, basically. You guys have mostly heard it anyway, but if you guys have a moment and you guys have not heard of Pleb Underground yet, or by now, go give them a follow. Look for Pleb Underground, and you'll see me and Phil on the thumbnail for the episode. It was a cool experience, and it was really nice to talk to somebody with that level of Bitcoin understanding, because most of my Bitcoin conversations with people in my regular life, my day-to-day life, are more of like, hey, do you know what Bitcoin is? And they're like, I don't know. It's like so it's nice to talk about Bitcoin in the context of not trying to orange pill somebody about Bitcoin. Like they're already in, like most of you guys are here on the show. So anyway, that is a little quick wrap up. Go over there to Pleb Underground, give them a subscribe if you haven't already, and they put out good stuff, guys. You guys know how I feel about the content I consume, the crowd I associate with, and I see the value in their show, and I appreciate that they're making content that I vibe with. Let's leave it that way, okay? All right. So that said, let's get into the first segment of the show. Let's continue with our regularly scheduled program, and let's do the first segment, which is, of course, the Bitcoin strength. Koji Monster in the house. What up? Round of applause from the live studio audience for Koji Monster. Thanks for tuning in. Koji, I did an interview with Pleb Underground, with Phil over at Pleb Underground this morning. Go check out Pleb Underground. Give them a subscribe and watch the interview if you don't have anything better to do. Today, the price of Bitcoin is $94,793.67. You can buy 1,054 satoshis for a single dollar today. What the heck is a satoshi? Well, a satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents, a Bitcoin is made up of 100 million satoshis. So, when you look at the price of Bitcoin and say, damn, that's super expensive. How can I ever afford that? I can never save up $94,000 to buy a Bitcoin. Well, that's where the problem comes in. That's where the solution comes in, actually. Okay? You don't save to buy Bitcoin. You save in Bitcoin. Okay? You can start with as little as $1. Right? For a penny today, you'll get 10 satoshis. Okay? And whether it's a penny, $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever value, whatever amount of value you put in the Bitcoin savings account, in Bitcoin, that fraction of a Bitcoin or that holding is already reaping the benefits of that shield, of that inflation shield that Bitcoin is. So like you don't have to have a whole Bitcoin to benefit from the properties of Bitcoin, right? It's whatever value you can put in, you can set aside. That value will be protected from inflation and debasement, right? So anyway, that is the Bitcoin strength, thanks to timechainstats.com. Actually, I started using timechainstats.com on our show because I saw it on Pleb Underground. So there you go. All right, that's another Pleb Underground reference. Cool. All right. As you guys can tell, I updated the background a little bit today, or yesterday, day before yesterday, something like that. I finally figured out how to get the Voltron to hold the Bitcoin right there, because he's no longer protector of the universe. He's protector of my Bitcoin. And of course, you guys know that I'm doing an accordion every day for a year. So I have my accordion there handy, ready to go. I know, of all things, right, the crazy accordion. But it's just another one of the things that I'm stacking this year. I'm stacking accordion practice sessions, and I'm getting pretty decent. I'm not gonna say I'm getting good, but jeez, I can be part of the party now. I can definitely jump in for a couple of songs if needed, if the situation calls for it. All right, so let's jump into the next topic of the show, our next segment, and this is why we stack, the mini orange pill section of the episode, where I dispense the prescription strength Bitcoin orange pill, okay? Where I try to demonstrate to you or show you or entice you into continuing your your Bitcoin education, whether you're a beginner and this is the first time you heard about Bitcoin, or you're an experienced Bitcoiner, okay? The time you take and you spend in trying to understand how Bitcoin works, right? But in order to understand how Bitcoin works, you have to understand how the money works. And once you understand how the money works, you understand what the problem with the money is, and only then you'll be able to understand the solution. Only then will you be able to fully understand the benefits of saving in Bitcoin, okay? All right, but that's, we'll keep it short today, okay? Because I've had a long day already, and we're here to get some stacking going. But anyway, I actually have one other thing that we're going to do today. Right now, after this little segment, we're going to do an unboxing of a Pleb Underground shirt that I ordered like months ago, but I never opened it because I wanted to do some kind of unboxing. So I teased that I was going to do an unboxing on today's interview with Phil. So we're going to definitely do the unboxing today, like next after this episode. So there it is. I've made it all so you can't come to my house. Right? It's a shirt that I ordered from Pleb Underground. So we'll see what comes in the box. And then we'll do our Bitcoin. Then we'll do our Bitcoin recap, our stack recap, and then we'll do our Bitcoin purchase for the day and wrap it up. Right. So you've been having many fiestas since it hit 1 million. Yeah, I know, right? You'll be having many fiestas when it hits 1 million. Exactly. You know what? Actually, Koji Monster, I feel like the level of, and this is gonna feed into why we stack, okay? The stress level of not knowing what your future is gonna be like, because you see yourself falling behind in your savings and getting more and more into credit card debt because you don't understand how the money fiat works. Just not having that to deal with, just not having that that sense of dread, that sense of how am I going to dig myself out of this hole, is already worth more than $1 million a coin, because just seeing that there's, I mean, when people say Bitcoin is hope, in a way it is, you know? And I'm not trying to give you hopium. I'm just saying, like, I don't need Bitcoin to hit $1 million today. I don't need it to hit $1 million in the next few months or even the next few years. Like I'm doing decent enough that it's not something I need to, like, you know. But I do see the beginning of that freedom coming. Yeah, it's true. It's true freedom, being released from lies being released from lies of fiat. But not only that, being released from the strain, dude, from the worry, from the stress of thinking like, shoot, dude, did I fail in life? Did I fail in life by going and get educated, by trying to be a decent human being, respectful, law-abiding citizen of the world, right? Helpful in any way I can, be a good husband, be a good father. And somehow life is not working out for me because I chose to, because I didn't understand Bitcoin, and I didn't realize that even if I got the best education, I worked 2 jobs and an Uber on the side and spent all my free time trying to just generate more and more and more money. That money's melting ice cubes. That money is never going to be enough because the way the inflation is happening, the rate of inflation, the speed at which inflation is going up, the speed at which the money supply is increasing, you'll never be able to be productive enough to, maybe you'll be able to be productive enough for a couple of years or maybe like a decade to keep up with it, working your hardest, never really getting ahead, just on that treadmill, right? Yeah, it's awesome to see your stack start to gain purchasing power faster than, or at least at pace with, if you would, you know what I mean? Like if you just hold, like on our show, for example, right? We've saved $14,000 worth of fiat money, I guess, into Bitcoin, and our stack is worth over $21,000. I forget how much it was, $25,000 in less than 2 years, right? Like, what would I have to do today, or ask yourself, what would I have to do today to earn an additional $10,000, $14,000 worth of value in your day-to-day life, right? Over 2 years. So over 2 years, right? 14,000, let's say, well, $7,000. What would you have to do? Think about your current situation. What would you have to do today or this year to earn an additional $7,000 this year? What kind of things could you think of that it would take for you to earn an additional $7,000 this year? And I didn't have to do that thing, and I still got the $7,000 a year, right? I mean, so it's not like I'm taking profit or anything, right? But still, you get it. 10 light stars in the house. What up, dude? Good to see you in the chat. Welcome to the stream. I haven't seen you in the chat before, so welcome. Round of applause from the live studio audience for 10 light star 01. Why are the companies passing the cost off to the American public? Why are the companies passing the cost off into the American public? I think you're asking about tariffs. It's pretty simple, right? They have, especially big corporations, their sole driving purpose is to generate value for their shareholders, to generate to hit their expectations or exceed their expectations, right? The tariffs represent a price increase in the cost of importing those goods for the vendors, right? And so they have to pass on those costs to the vendors, because if they eat the costs, so they have to pass the cost off to the customers, because if they eat the cost, that'll mean that their margin on that product is smaller now. Therefore, their stock will suffer, because they're going to show that they were expecting to make this much money, and since their margin got ate into by the tariffs, their profits are not going to meet their expectations. It's going to ruin the value of the valuation of their stock and all that good stuff, right? So their purpose is to make money. Yeah, exactly. CEOs, their sole purpose is to generate money. Yeah, so that's what they'll do, because to them, the cost of that tariff, they'll pass it off to the customer, and if the customer can cover it, then they don't lose in their profit margins. But on top of that, it also, I think there's a little bit of price gouging going there too, right? Like, for example, let's say that it costs you have a $100 product, and when you import it, you have to pay whatever 25% of 100. What's 25% of 100? Right, $25, something like that, right? So they bump up the price on that item when they actually go to sell it, because let's take a step back. That's what the item sells for in the United States, $100, right? But that's not what the item actually costs to import. Let's say that the profit margins are like 10 times, right? They buy an item cheaply manufactured for $10. They pay the cost and they pay the tariff of whatever, $2.50, and then they take that product and they sell it for $125 because they expect people to think that, hey, it used to cost $100. Tariffs are 25%. Now it costs $125. So they're in a way using tariffs to conceal that they're further price gouging you, right? anyway, from anyway, good stuff. Good questions in here. If a person works for a brokerage company, they can easily lose their job. Yeah. Okay. Uh, how expensive do you expect homes and rent to be? Ooh, and who pays for rent? With CEOs homes, people are on Wall Street because in America, taxpayer can't afford to pick up the cost of inflation. Yeah, see, this is what's gonna kind of end up like they're gonna end up shooting themselves in the foot, right? Because the the cost of housing, especially here in America, it's like it's out of it's blown up out of proportion because people are using real estate as money. People are using real estate as a way to preserve their wealth or store assets. Kind of like the same way I use Bitcoin. Before Bitcoin, people were using that gold, stocks, bonds, right, to conserve or to they think they're conserving the purchasing power of their savings by putting that value into an asset like a home or like real estate. And that used to be fine. That used to work when inflation was really below like 5%, 4%, right? But now if you look at the real rate of inflation, having real estate doesn't really make sense anymore because you might have the real estate and the real estate might be appreciating. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually gaining purchasing power because at the same time, while that real estate is appreciating at 4 or 5% year over year, inflation is up like 8, 9, 10%. So you're still losing in the long run, getting poorer, but you don't notice you're getting poorer because in terms of dollars, your dollar value, your dollar worth is still going up, even though those dollars can't buy as much things as they used to be able to buy. Okay. Can you go to the grocery store and buy? Okay, sorry. Sorry. The government politicians on both sides have been hollering about this for very long. Both parties are saying how much in debt the government is and taxpayers can't afford to pay. Yep, that is true. Because America's taxpayers. Okay. Can you go to the grocery store and buy food? Yes. Can you go to the grocery store and buy food or pay mortgage with your stocks? No, you cannot. Can you go to the grocery store and buy food with gold? No, you cannot. Right? But that's not what we're talking about here. So, yes, there is a case for being able to pay for stuff with Bitcoin, and I'm all for it. But we're not at that phase yet, right? And there's always going to be some form of easier way to do trade or to pay, to like use actual currency, right? Right now, it doesn't make sense for someone that's saving in a house or in gold to liquidate part of their gold or liquidate part of their house to buy groceries. It's just like a weird example. The example's not good, right? Like you wouldn't go and sell your house, pay all the broker fees, all of the realtor fees, taxes to go to take some value out of your house, right? It's just it's a big process, right? So, same thing with let's see, what was the question? Both parties, yes, I like this comment. Both parties are both parties are running the money printer. Yes, 100%. And it's just whether they spend that money printing on tax breaks and what are those called, government subsidies for corporations that already have all the kinds of money, or if they print money to build bridges and try to help the average person, right? So yeah, both parties are guilty of abusing the money printer, right? But that's kind of the point of Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is for Republicans or Democrats, right? It's for everybody that doesn't want the government to be able to come into your savings and debase you via inflation and use the value of your hard work for whatever program they're doing, whether it is for a cause that you're for or against. It doesn't matter. Both anyone in power that has access to the money printer is going to abuse it for one reason or another. But in both scenarios, the one that ends up losing is the person that's saving in that currency, right? So That's really good stuff. Really good comments. 10 Light, thanks for jumping on here. It makes the show more entertaining, and I love to see this kind of stuff. So thanks for jumping on. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll come back. Let's see. If the U.S. population is increased, then the U.S. government needs to print more money to accommodate for a larger population. That does not mean Wall Street should be able to price gouge. There's a little bit there's some things that in that statement that I don't 100% agree with for sure. But yes, definitely don't need to price gouge. And and if there's more people, you don't need more money. You don't need more money. You just need to have a way for people to actually conserve the value of their existing money and not get debased on it. That's the issue. The issue is the constant money printing, right? Because even if you say, okay, let's go 2%, which is their goal of money supply expansion or inflation is 2%. What is that 2% inflation rate? You know what that is? All it is you saying I'm okay with my savings getting debased at 2% year over year instead of 8% or 10%, which is what they're doing now, right? And so it's still theft. It's still theft because if you hold that money, that savings, over 30 years, it's worth now, even though the number will be the same. With 2% inflation for 30 years, it's able to purchase half the things that you were able to purchase when you started. So 2% theft is still theft. Any inflation is theft. So I disagree that you need more money printed in order to have a functioning economy. Okay. ABW in the house. What up? I have not made a live show for a while. No, it's all good. Thanks for tuning in, Andrew. I appreciate you, sir. Hope all is well over there. Yeah, but that's basically what it comes down to, guys. It's we're talking about just great questions being submitted here by 10 Light Stars. So thanks for doing that. All right, let's keep the show rolling. We talked about we're in the middle of why we stack, right? So let's just finish up the why we stack segment with the quick and short elevator pitch to anybody that will tell me, all right, you got 30 seconds to tell me why I should be saving in Bitcoin. And here it is. We save in Bitcoin because saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for as long as you hold the Bitcoin that represents those hours. Okay. And straight, simple, to the point. That is why we stack. All right, let's keep the show rolling. Let's jump into the next segment of the show because we don't like to just talk the talk here, even though we love to talk the talk. But we don't just love to talk the talk. We actually stack the stack. We talk the talk and stack the stack. Okay? So let's jump into the next topic of the show, which is the stack recap. Whoa, that was unintended. Sorry for the gong in your face. Here we go. Let's kick the show off with our review of our 2025 stack so far. This year, we've been stacking about $20 a day, and on days when the price of Bitcoin is below our average buy price, we do $40 stacks. And so this year, we've bought Bitcoin, like I said, every day of the week, and we're up about 4.9% on our savings. We saved $3,380 so far, and that accumulated us 3.7 million Satoshis, or you can also call that 0.037 Bitcoin. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, a Satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin, just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents. A Bitcoin is made up of 100 million Satoshis. You take this decimal point, you slide it over 8 spots, and you end up with the Satoshi number. Just like you could say, I have 100 cents, or you can just say I have $1. It's the same thing, right? Anyway, so today the price of Bitcoin is $94,620, and our average buy price in 2025 is $91,000. So today we're going to be purchasing a $20 stack here shortly in a little bit. But first, let's review our stack for 2024. In 2024, we set aside $7,345. We bought Bitcoin with it daily, dollar cost averaging here on the show live. And we were able to accumulate 0.122 Bitcoin, 12.2 million Satoshis. The value of that, of the Bitcoin today, of the value of that Bitcoin stack today, if I were to try and buy it today, it would cost me 57.7% more of today's weaker dollars to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. I didn't do anything extra to gain that value. It's just a reflection of how much the dollar is losing purchasing power. Okay? 2024, $7,000 could get you about 0.1 Bitcoin. And now it takes $11,000 to get you 0.1 Bitcoin. Okay? It's just straight up truth, straight up facts. There it is. No controversy here. We started this show back on May 22nd, 2023, Bitcoin Pizza Day, when Bitcoin was at $27,000. And we bought $5 worth of Bitcoin. We used to DCA $5 a day. Now, our our stack, 100 days of Bitcoin is missing. Yeah, let me refresh this. There it goes. Refresh this. There it is. And now, with all of the different savings we've done since the beginning of the show, we've set aside $14,189, and that has turned into about $25,000 today. So, just by holding Bitcoin in our own custody and not having to do any extra work, we've gained about $11,000 worth of value just by holding it. We didn't have to do anything extra. Okay? Imagine your savings going up 78% in about 2 years, right? That's really awesome. Don't you think? It's incredible. Okay? So we think about this in terms of how that affects your day-to-day life. Okay? Well, let's go to our burrito index. It's been a while since we did this one. Let's say back on October 3rd, 2023, my favorite burrito, beans, cheese, sour cream, and carne asada. If you're ever going to buy me a burrito and you buy me that, I'll be happy. Okay? It cost me $13.70 in October of 2023. At the price of Bitcoin at that time, it would cost me 49,603 Satoshis to buy that. In other words, 0.049 Bitcoin. It was $13.70. Today, at the price of Bitcoin today, that same burrito, even though it still costs $13.70 in terms of dollars, it's costing me 14,000 Satoshis instead of 49,000 Satoshis. So the price of that burrito for the people that have been saving in Bitcoin and are on the Bitcoin standard as opposed to the money fiat standard, my life just got easier. The cost of my burritos went down 70%, right? So it's like reverse inflation, right? It's like the cost of one burrito from October is enough to buy me, like, I don't know, for at least 4 burritos for what I used to, do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So now I can eat, if I was having a burrito per day, it would cost me whatever, $13.70 times 5 to feed myself for the week. Well, now it only costs me the same amount that I was paying for 2 days, right? I can eat the whole week. I can eat 6 burritos. I can have an extra burrito for the cost of feeding myself 2 burritos 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, right? Same thing. You look at the average mortgage in America is $2,500 mortgage or rent, right? On 2 years ago, January 1st, 2023, let's say your mortgage was $2,500. Back in the day, $2,500 would buy you 15.2 million Satoshis, 0.15 Bitcoin, right? So you take that, let's say you did a mortgage payment and you had enough money left over to do a second mortgage payment and get ahead on your mortgage, right? A lot of people do that. where they'll pay an extra payment so that they're paying less interest over time. Well, if you factor that in, and instead of doing the extra payment on your home, you would have bought a $2,500 stack and accumulated 15.2 million satoshis, like we're showing here on the screen. Then by now, that one payment of that one deposit or savings of $2,500 into Bitcoin that got you 15.2 million satoshis would now make it so that your rent is discounted, or your not your rent, but your mortgage is discounted 82%. So the one-time savings of $2,500 into Bitcoin is now going to cover about 6 months of your rent or 6 months of your mortgage. If you did that for 2 months in a row and you bought that much Bitcoin at the 2 years ago, then that stack of 30,000 satoshi, of 30 million satoshis would cover you for the whole mortgage for a year, right? Now imagine the benefits that would have on your psyche and on your finances, right? Can you imagine if anybody told you, hey, there's a way that 2 years from now, maybe 2 years from now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, maybe 3 years from now, who cares? Maybe 4 years from now. Let's just say 4 years from now. What if I told you that if you set aside $5,000 today or soon, in 4 years, that will cover your rent or your mortgage payment for a year? What can you imagine the freedom you would get from that, right? Most people's biggest expense is their living expense, right? So if you can make a little bit extra effort, do the struggle to stack Bitcoin, eventually you get to the point where it's like, shoot, now that my stack is big enough, yeah, like it's true, like my stack would cover my rent for the year, but do I cash it out and spend it? No, we keep going, right? We keep going, because that's gonna make, just like it frees up your cost of, it makes your burritos cheaper, your cost of living cheaper, the price of milk cheaper, the price of your mortgage cheaper. It's gonna affect your whole life. And now instead of running after that money printer and trying to swim up a waterfall against the money printing that's keeps coming down the waterfall, right? Then you start chilling in the lazy river that takes you towards retirement, right? Because Bitcoin is increasing your purchasing power instead of losing your purchasing power like the dollar would. All right, the last I looked, Bitcoin was between 60,000 and 100,000, which I don't have that lying around to buy one Bitcoin. Correct. And that is exactly what people think. And it's okay to think that, but let me explain it to you. Let me try to explain to you. Basically, there's a mistake there that's common, and I felt that way as well, right? Is that if Bitcoin right now is at $94,000, how the hell am I supposed to buy a whole Bitcoin? It's impossible, right? Well, the beauty of Bitcoin is that you don't have to own a whole Bitcoin in order to reap the benefits of that inflation resistance, that gain, right? I mean, look at our page, okay? Look, we don't have a whole Bitcoin here on the show. See, we have 0.36361521 Bitcoin, but you know how much Bitcoin we started with here on the show? We started the show with $5. It's right here in black and white. Here's the date. Go look at the price of Bitcoin. It was 27,260 when we bought it. I bought it live during the stream, right? And I spent $5 on that. And in return, I got, after fees and stuff, I got 0.00018 Bitcoin, 18,000 Satoshis. Okay. If I were to try to buy 18,000 Satoshis right now, it would cost me $17.02, right? Because this is the actual price of Bitcoin right now based off the current price. So, yes, people lie. But just because some people lie doesn't mean everybody's a liar. And you should be aware enough and mature enough to do the research yourself. Never take anybody's opinion on the internet for granted, of course. And don't take what I say for granted, especially, right? I'm just trying to expose you to the possibility that Bitcoin might be a better way to save than saving in dollars or trying to save up for a home, a rental property, that kind of stuff, right? Let's say your goal is to save up to get a rental property, or to save up and buy a house, or to save up and buy a car, right? Let's pretend that the whole point of the show here is to save up to have a down payment on a house. Okay. And in California, the average home is $1 million. Like, you're not going to get something decent for less than, I'm talking like, don't think it's like a mansion with a bunch of property. I'm talking about just a single family home with a garage, right? Just like the most average home you could think of is at least $1 million in the US. Oh, sorry, here in California, right? So you need 25, you need, was it 2.5% down or something like that? Or 10% down? Forget. Or 20% down. That's what? $200,000 down payment on a house? That's $1 million? How are you going to save up $200,000? Right? If I was saving in cash, I would be at $14,000 so far. Right? But since I'm saving in Bitcoin is getting me closer to my goal of a $200,000 down payment for a home. Right? And then I might think to myself, okay, well, I already have a home. Should I save up for a second home so I can rent it out and make extra money? Like, rent seek and get cash flow. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll start saving up for it. And then I start saving up for it. I see that, hey, you know what? Without even having to have a second home as a cash flowing home, just saving in Bitcoin is enough to give me a 77% gain. So why would I go and invest my money into a second property that now comes with all these third-party risks of like fire, earthquakes, tenants, rules changes, taxes, insurance, So anyway, let's keep the show rolling. Let me read through some of these questions. I really appreciate the amount of questions that are coming through. My ex-husband traded stocks. He told me to buy stocks. He said that it was right for going higher. The stocks dropped. I lost money. He told me he had to stock after I bought it and sold. He told me he had this. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. He told me he had the stock after I bought it and sold. So my husband, if he were an institution, he had insider information, but he sold the stock after he told me to buy. So my money went. Oh, that sucks. That's a terrible thing to do to anybody, and that's even more terrible for your husband to do to you. That is insane. I almost don't believe your story, because like, that's crazy. That's crazy. I guess that's why he's your ex-husband. That makes sense. Yeah, that's called a rug pull. That's called he basically suckered you into spending your money. So here on the show, I'm not telling you to actually go and buy Bitcoin. I'm showing you by example what happens if you invest in Bitcoin a little bit at a time, over time. It's called the dollar cost average. It's called the DCA strategy, right? It doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin is when I buy it. I've already committed on the show and in this arena that I will buy $20 worth of Bitcoin minimum Monday through Friday. And I jump on here, I do it during the live stream. And if great people like you jump on and ask questions, I really appreciate it, because it's helping me bring this really cool technology to people, and in a way, I'm trying to think of what benefit I get besides the joy of seeing somebody realize what Bitcoin is and understand it. It's amazing. So let me tell you how Bitcoin is different from stocks. Okay. Everything that you can invest in right now, you can make more of. Okay. So let's say real estate, you can make more real estate. If people say, well, real estate is scarce because you can't make more land. Well, there's volcanoes in Hawaii making new land all the time, right? And you can also build stories on existing real estate, so you can definitely create square footage out of thin air. Okay, literally out of thin air. Stocks, the companies could reissue more stocks and dilute you there, right? Um, what else? Specifically to what you're saying here. Um, the problem is that those things, when you're holding them, since more of it can be made, you run the risk of being debased. Yes, stocks and stuff are better than holding cash. Some stocks, right? But again, who needs to become a professional stock trader just to want to save? Like, I refuse to take the time and become a financial analyst and stock investor or real estate investor just to have a savings vehicle, right? That's the problem, that you need to become a certified financial advisor just to be able to manage your own savings. And why is that? It's because the money is bad, right? Because you can't save in dollars, and inherently we all understand that you can't save in dollars. We look for ways to invest our money to try to make yield. And that's where the problems come in, right? So this is what Bitcoin fixes, right? Bitcoin has a cap supply of 21 million. There can never be more than that. And when you save in Bitcoin, the value of that Bitcoin might fluctuate when you're looking at it in terms of dollars, right? But it's becoming more and more scarce because you can't make more of it. Once a Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin is lost, there's no way to recover it. It's lost forever, right? And Bitcoin has a capped supply of 21 million. So think of it as owning something that's really scarce, right? You'll be able to buy something that's really scarce that people don't know about yet necessarily, or refuse to understand how it works, or even more, they have these preconceived notions of what Bitcoin is or is not, and that keeps them away. And until all that barrier of misinformation gets overcome by the general population of the world, Bitcoin's going to be available for us to purchase at a decent price. Once everybody understands what Bitcoin truly is, like ultimate scarcity, then we won't be talking about being able to save one Bitcoin. It'll be just impossible for us to save that much, right? It'll become more scarce. Other institutions will start buying it, all that stuff. Anyway, it's all coming to head here with ETFs and all that stuff. But in order to avoid all of that confusion, all that we do here is simple. It's a simple formula for us. It's we buy Bitcoin on an exchange or whichever way you can, and then you take that Bitcoin off of the exchange and you put it into your own Bitcoin wallet. Okay, a Bitcoin wallet is like basically an account on the Bitcoin network. Okay, and only that is and only that Bitcoin wallet is able to access your Bitcoin. Okay. And there's nobody in charge of that. There's no bank middleman. There's no government in that. It's just the way the Bitcoin network works. It's available to anybody with an internet connection and the ability to run some software, which is the Bitcoin wallet. And you can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer, right? But that is the best way that I know of for now to not only conserve the value of your savings, but let them appreciate against the depreciating dollar. How do people who can't find a job because they do not exist invest in their future? That's a good question. By realizing that you don't need to have a job to generate value for somebody. Okay, look at I'm trying to figure out how to say this without being rude, right? Like if you're sitting around hoping for someone to come save you, it'll be very difficult, right? And that's regardless of Bitcoin, right? But if you can figure out a way to generate value for somebody or some institution or a group of people or whatever, then that is worth something, and you'll be able to generate some kind of revenue from that. And yes, it'll be slower than if you had a full-time job or like you started a company, right? but at least you're on your way to not being completely not helpless, but unmotivated or unwilling to help yourself, right? Why are you treating human beings as a commodity? So why are you treating human beings as a commodity on Wall Street? I'm not sure that question. Yeah, I don't know. How does a housewife who is unpaid, a mom raising kids, then she gets divorced? What kind of future does she have? It depends, right? It depends what country she's in. There's a lot of these questions are kind of not necessarily specific to this topic, and there's a lot of things to discuss there. But for the sake of brevity and being able to do a under an hour long show, we're gonna keep the show rolling. Okay. I even forgot where we were. We're doing the stack recap. That's right, stack recap. Going back to finish the stack recap. Here we go. Okay, so the stack holdings right now for the show on our way to 1 Bitcoin are 0.36361521 Bitcoin. The value of that is about $34,421.94 in terms of fiat, but we don't care. The only number going up that we care about on this show and in your stack is that your Satoshi number goes up, that your Bitcoin count goes up. Okay? Pay no attention to the guy in the pay no attention to the guy behind the curtain, the green fiat machine. This number is just a distraction. When you see it go down, don't get sad. Just buy some more. Just buy some more Bitcoin. When the number goes up, just buy the same amount of Bitcoin. If the number goes sideways, just buy more Bitcoin. It's super easy, right? The number going up that should matter the most is your Bitcoin stack number going up. Okay. All right. Bitcoin is on Wall Street. There may be more than one Bitcoin. Okay, so these are all. Let me address that real quick. It's specific to the topic because women raising kids have never had a 401k. Okay, so you don't need a 401k to invest in Bitcoin. You don't need Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not on Wall Street. The stuff that's built on Wall Street, they're Bitcoin derivatives. They're Bitcoin products that people are telling you are have Bitcoin in them, right? It's like if I set up a company and said, "Hey, invest in my company so we can buy Bitcoin," and then you could say that you own part of my company. That's not you owning Bitcoin. That's you owning a stock or a paper receipt that says you have a claim to a share of a company that has Bitcoin. You don't have the actual Bitcoin. So here on the show, we don't buy any kind of ETFs, stocks, bonds, or even leave our Bitcoin on exchanges. We buy the Bitcoin, we take it off the exchange, we take custody of it, and that's it. We move on. How do women keep up with inflation, and children who turn 18 and can't afford college and a place to live? That's a really good question. Hopefully they're able to be employed, not necessarily to get out. Let's talk about the women's perspective first. For the women first, you want to have a job, right? And it sounds dumb, but get a job. Any job will do. Okay, any job, just so long as if you have $1 left over by the time you cover your costs and expenses, invest that, and you don't have, and you're ready to set that dollar aside in savings. Save that $1, right? And why does an 18-year-old have to move out to be able to afford to go to college? And why does he have to go find a different place to live? Why can't they go to local college, right? Why can't they learn whatever they want to learn from the internet? Maybe, right? Is college even worth it, right? Maybe they could get a job and save up for their college education in Bitcoin. I don't know. See, it's just the woman is at home raising kids and babies. What is her? What? This guy's trolling, dude. This guy's straight trolling. This guy's straight trolling. Say you live in a town small. Okay. First of all, that's not the job. That's not the role of a woman. Like that's unfair thing to say. That's not what do you call it? It's not PC, right? Like women can choose to do that if they want to, or they can choose to have a career, whatever, or they can choose to do both, right? The point is that sitting around and waiting for someone to fix the situation for you is not as effective as getting out there and trying to figure out how to make ends meet, right? If you can't find a job, maybe create a small business, right? Mow lawns. There's got to be something, right? If nobody has a lawn they want mowed, okay, well, do you know how to do something that's like people don't like to do? Like do their laundry, right? Offer a laundry service. Yeah, I'll come to your house, pick up your laundry, I'll bring it back in a couple of days, and that's it, do your laundry, right? There's always a way. Yeah, exactly. What value are you to society? Yeah, exactly. You have to find. You have to work with what you know. So of course, if you have a highly skilled, if you have a highly sought after skill, then you can do that. If you don't have a highly sought after skill, but you have an interest in learning a skill that is highly sought after, then just pursue that, right? There are so many free resources this day and age that get glossed over or taken for granted, that you can learn anything you want. Like there's like all with the internet and YouTube, just like the videos, dude, there's hardly any gatekeeping of information. Now, if you want to go learn how to become a plumber or learn how to become anything, you can learn it well enough for you to get an entry-level job in doing that thing, right? Yeah. If you have time, educate yourself to get a better job. Send the 18-year-old to get a job. Exactly, right? And I know it's maybe not what you want to hear. It's not easy, right? But that's life. Life isn't easy, especially if you're not willing to try to do things on your own or for yourself, right? So it's hard. I want to be the new CEO of Berkshire Hathaway's when Warren Buffett retires and makes money for an established company, pay myself with inflationary stocks, options, bonds, government, etc. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Let me know if you need an assistant when you get that job, okay? Or if you want to sponsor the show. If Berkshire Hathaway wants to sponsor the Stack Bitcoin show. All right, guys, let's wrap up with the final segment of the show. Now that we know that we need to purchase, what is it, $20 worth of Bitcoin today? Since the price of Bitcoin is above our average buy price in 2025, we're going to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin, and we're going to do that right now. It's time to stack some Bitcoin. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. If you guys like watching Bitcoin content, go check out Pleb Underground. I did an interview with them this morning. Phil and the guys over there are super fun, cool dudes. Check them out. Let's get this purchase going. I'm going to do my purchase today on the Strike app. Pick up the Strike app, hit buy. Lightstar, look it. It's this easy. $20. Next. We cut the music. We hit the drum roll. We hit confirm. Oops, confirm. And just like that easy, we accumulated an additional 20,890 satoshis to the stack. I think Lightstar is still trolling. I think Lightstar is trolling. But I appreciate the talking points. My throat is dry from all the talking. So funny. All right. So let's go to the spreadsheet and add the purchase for today. Today is 5 6 25 May 6, 2025. The price of Bitcoin we deserve today is $94,830.06 Bitcoin. We purchased $20 worth. $0.00020,890 Bitcoin. Oops, hold on a second. Okay, so maybe trolling is too hard of a word. Lightstar, I think you're messing with us. I think you're messing with me. How's that? I think I wonder if Phil has used his tech background to set up a bot. Yeah. Can you imagine? It's the bot Phil. All right. So we have. I might be making you think about things you have never thought about before. No, I've thought about all the things you asked me about. I've thought about all those things. Trust me. I've thought about those things. I don't come from money. I have a mother. I have sisters. I know what it is. I know what it's like. So you don't know me. ABW kind of knows me. All right, so that is the stack. Let's copy it over and bring it to the spreadsheet that's showing the stack for the whole lifespan of the show. The proof of stack. Do you want your mom and grandma to be homeless? That's trolly, isn't it? That's trolly, isn't it? If you want to be called a troll, don't act like a troll. All right. So trust me, I know about that. For me, Bitcoin is a big part of the answer. Please think about that. Yeah. All right. So we have added the final purchase for today to the stack. Oh, we haven't even done the unboxing. We're going to do the unboxing next. And then we're going to call it, and then we'll wrap it up. 0.36382411 Bitcoin is our new total. Where's that? And now let's do. Why do you call people who talk about homelessness trolling? It's a fact. And a lot of financial people just say, "Oh well, I don't care." I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Yeah, right? You're just trying to like distract the conversation, right? By accusing me of being uncompassionate to the homeless people, and I'm not. You don't know what I do. You don't know what I've done, and you don't know my thoughts, right? So you're welcome to stay, but really, I prefer if you'd leave. I don't want your type of audience in my streams. It's that's not what we're here for. There's plenty of content everywhere to watch, and the vibe here is positive. The vibe here is to try to help people, right? If I lead you to water and you don't want to drink it, that's on you, right? If you're struggling seriously to get ahead, and you want to try to figure out why you can't save, I've just given you a bunch of information that would be helpful to anybody that is in that situation. Okay, but anyway, all right, let's do this unboxing. A while back, I ordered a shirt from Pleb Underground. They get their stuff made over at Proof of Ink. It came in a really nice box. Bam. Bam. And I thought I would open it today on the stream. Let me go full screen. Actually, let's do this. Here's the box. I already I pre-peeled the stickers because I didn't want to cut through it. And then so let's see. There's a proof of ink sticker. It's all dusty. It didn't come dust not included. Here we go. I'm gonna move this. You guys can see what's going on here. Let's open the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Here we go. Okay. All right. It looks like there's a bunch of cool stuff in here. Let me see what this is. Let me see. As Phil would say, it's no longer mint. So that I was a little bit confused by that because I'm like, well, if I bought this shirt and it's in the box and it's like sealed, what if he never sent a shirt? Imagine. And what if I'm gonna sell you mint? I'm gonna sell you a mint collectible, put it in a box, and then say that if you open the box, it's no longer mint, so you never open it. Then do you really own the thing, right? If you buy something and it's mint in the box, but you never open it because you want to keep it mint, then do you actually still own it or not? Dang, that massive Bitcoin pump right now. Sheesh. Oh, not massive, but it just went from 94,700 to 95. That's a good little pump right there. Dang. Okay. Maybe you're gonna Omega candle today. That'd be awesome. All right, first thing I see in the box is a new proof of ink sticker, so I can reseal the box so it's mint. I see a can't tread on me sticker, BTC pins, crypto cloaks. Boom. Instead of don't tread on me, it's you can't tread on me because you can't mess with your stack. We have a Pepe the Frog with Bitcoin fire eyes it's a holographic sticker. Gee. Looks pretty cool. And then we have, let's see. I like this one. Like a Run DMC style sticker, but it says opt out instead of Run DMC. I like it. And oh yeah, and the bars are orange instead of red. Okay, we have a. Oh, I think this is to make the stickers. Maybe lightning prints, QR code. Gee. And then we have. This is a good one. This is. Oh wow, Bitcoin's pumping, dude. 95,400. The Australia just woke up. Sydney just woke up. So then we have the Bitcoin Cookie Monster. That thing is awesome. I want more of this one. I want more of this one so I can put it on my kid's water bottle. I'm going to put this on my water bottle, actually, for jiu-jitsu practice. So people know what's up. And of course, I love this one. This is so good. I'm going to put this on the Grom. I'm going to put this on my motorcycle. It's a Bitcoin orange pill by BTC Pins. Gee, I like that one. My thumbnail's going to be like this. Yeah, the Cookie Monster one is amazing. Stacking sats. This is the spirit of the channel right here. This is the spirit animal of the channel. That's us stacking sats every day, Monday through Friday. And Bitcoin's pumping. We just touched 95,500. I'm gonna pull out the shirt. Oh, I have one more sticker. Yes, this is nice. I like this one. Ja. It's like the guy from Goodfellas with the laser eyes in the meme where they're laughing. Where they're just laughing. There it is. That's a good one. Okay, now, no longer mint. A no longer mint Pleb Underground. Here, the ASMR portion of the video. Oh, 95,550. Here it goes. The proof of ink there. Bam. Bam. There it is. Down with the underground. Proof of ink, Pleb Underground shirt. Boom. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for I bought this with cash, guys. I bought this with straight up money. It's not a sponsored thing, but I just hadn't opened it because I wanted to do a unboxing, and there it is. The Pleb Underground shirt is here, and honestly, I'm excited about all these little stickers. I want more of these. I want more of these. I want more of these, and I want more of more of these too, please. If you guys let's see, BTC Pins maybe does these. So BTC Pins, I want more of these. These are perfect. These are perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Andrew, thanks so much for being here. Lightstar, thanks for tuning in. I hope you get your stuff together and come back. Koji Monster, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. Watch Bitcoin pump. All right, see you guys tomorrow. We might be millionaires tomorrow, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. But until then, remember, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Later, guys. Bitcoin Beacon!